on. You got the wristband.
Kicking in the stretcher.
Grinding out my back.
Anything it takes to climb the ladder of success. What's up, Rebels? My name's Lily.
My name's Leo.
I'm from the UK.
I'm from the US.
We are a couple. We are queer.
Yes, queen.
And we out here. Today we are going to be doing some dating someone, transitioning, asking and answering some really tough questions. The way it's gone is we've written 5 questions for each other that neither of us have seen, and we are going to answer them as authentically and as open as we can. Without further ado,
Let's get into it. Okay, so question number 1 for you, my darling.
Your voice
is...
just broke. That was really cute. That was really cute.
Okay,
Serious
first question.
mode.
Do you ever miss the version of me before tea?
Ooh. That's deep.
Mm-hmm. We get deep.
Do I miss the person? It's the same person. It really is. That's a weird question because it's the exact same person, but I had to figure that out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I definitely will say that I went through a period where I wasn't sure they were the same people. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally the same dude. Like, the same dude with a deeper voice. That's, yeah, it's the same person. No, I don't mourn that person at all. Because he's here. He's always been here.
Yeah.
Ah.
Can you tell them we're recently engaged? Give me one.
Do you think your transition would have been easier if your partner was trans?
An interesting question.
I know, I came in like a wrecking ball.
Honestly, I don't think it would be any easier. It would be different, obviously. That would be a different sort of dynamic if, like, we were both transitioning together, or if you had gone through a transition and then I did, or something like that. That would obviously change things, but in terms of, like, my...
You're technically T for T. You're trans.
Yeah.
It's like T for turkey thighs.
I had no idea what was coming. I was like, I love you.
Why did we do this right before tough questions?
It's fun.
Okay.
It's more fun.
Okay, we got this. I'm so sorry, guys. Alright. I believe in dreaming. Shooting for the
stars. Question number 2. This is really for partners of people who are currently transitioning. But what things have you done to maintain your own identity during the growth of my identity?
Oh, that's a really good question.
So, like, because I've gone through, a bit of a, like, developmental stage in my transition, and I know that takes up a lot of space. How have you found your ways to take up space in that way?
I like that. Well, the first thing to say is I didn't always make space for my own identity. And in the past, I have struggled with putting all into yours. Because also, you needed me to. So there are times where in any form of relationship and connection with someone, you're going to need to sometimes pause a little bit of what you're doing just to give a bit more to someone who needs it during that time. So I think I paused when I needed to. I don't have any regrets. And then I've unpaused because I don't need to anymore. Does that make sense? So for me, it wasn't about giving my identity up. It was about knowing that my identity doesn't change because yours is growing. It's about knowing that I can pause and I can relax without being dimmed. It's like a candle, right? I can light you up and my flame is still blowing. It doesn't go out. I've just lit us both up. So maintaining your identity, if that's something that you're losing, my advice is to remember that you are the only one who can control that. That's not someone else's fault, and you have to really center yourself as well, and know when you don't center yourself. It happens. Just be conscious and be very, very, what's what I'm looking for? Very intentional about when you press play and press pause. The issue is when you're not intentional and you've realized, oh my God, I've been on play for too long, or I've been on pause for too long, and I have had no real conscious thought between all of that. That's when there's an issue. But if you're actively choosing and you're intentionally choosing to press play and press pause, there's a lot of power and control and self-control that takes, and you only develop more as a person. So I've stayed the same. You've become more fabulous because you see it. That's all it is. But I stayed fabulous. I didn't know, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, hey baby, welcome to this club. Put your shoes on the door. Like, literally, like, it's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. Okay, I want you to be really honest. Like, so honest. I don't care. Well, I do care what you have to say. But I don't want you to pander any form of response to me, because this could be a really great learning moment for myself. So if you need to take a moment before answering, please do. Yeah? Okay. I know the ways I make you feel euphoric, but I question whether there's something I do that makes you feel dysphoric. Take a second with that.
I think I was like, there was a time when, it's not really so much of an issue now, but there was a time when I was like really sensitive to stuff, like comments about things making me look feminine. You know?
I'm just writing a note. But yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm going to call myself out. I really love learning, but so gone.
You know, just like, as I'm like changing in the way that like my body looks, my face looks and things like that, I'm learning how I want to present it and how it works best for me. So like there are some things that like do change, but like I don't know, sometimes like I think when I was like wearing like a lot more earrings and stuff, like I remember it was like a thing where it was like, oh, these are starting to look femme on me or something like that. I'm like, oh, okay, well I don't, it's like having to like relearn those things.
Can I tell you my perspective of that? But firstly, genuinely, thank you for sharing that. I know that's a lot. I felt like you wanted me to say those things. Like, because you are, when it comes to like how you look and dress, you always come to me and I'm like, just pick something, I don't care. And you're always like, what about this? Do you think this looks like this? Or do you think that looks like this? Or, and so for me, my language before was very much like, I'm not too sure, but because you specifically started to ask about, do you feel this looks masculine, looks femme, I feel like I adapted my language because I assumed that's what you wanted. But I don't want you to feel, I don't think your earrings make you look femme. That's not where that came from. That was actually from a vlog, someone else's vlog. And I was like, oh, do you think earrings make people femme? I didn't even think about that. Because you always tell me, like, I prefer to look masked. And I was like, oh, I didn't think about stuff like that. Because I'm always relearning what other people think about gender, because I don't even see gender in the same way as other people. Fuck gender. Do you know what I mean? But I think that's really good for me to learn, because if it's giving you the perception that I'm judging your masculinity by asking these questions, then I have to think about how to reword them. You know what I mean?
And I think it sounds like I really like even gave you the wrong impression as well, with like, I think I was just like kind of going through it. Like honestly, just a bit of like dealing with like how people read me, how I read myself, and like how those things like come out and all that stuff, you know? And I think it was like, at the time that it was more of an issue, I was in a much more like heightened moment of that, I think, in my transition, like, in terms of like not passing with people and stuff like that, and comments and whatever.
I think I've learned a rule and not learned that the rule's ended now. I think you needed to update me like, hey, by the way, I'm not in this place anymore.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because I'm just like, okay, this is what he wants, and I'll just do it forever until you tell me not to. But that's a good reminder, and that's a good reminder for anyone watching us, is to check in. It's because I would say that I didn't check in and go, hey, by the way, do you still want me to use these language? Like, do you still want to use this language or something? So that's really good to learn. Like, we're 8 months into his, 8 months in a week into
Yeah.
his transition, but we've been together for years, and it's we're still learning how to communicate, and I don't think that ever changes. And that's also not trans inclusive. Learning how to communicate with your partner is something that completely and will always adapt, because humans aren't linear. We process and go through so many experiences, and those things will then eventually determine how we feel. And they can be, you know, they can change and they can vary from day to day. So I think this was a great example, because I'm like, oh really? But I'm like, oh cool, that's so easy to change. Now I like, you know, or just as a reminder, because we get so comfortable, let's check in, you know, on this thing. By the way, is this language still cool for you? I don't think we've done that in a little while.
We haven't. We used to do that more frequently.
So often, especially in the beginning, but we don't do that as often. So that's a really good
that's a lesson for you and for us.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Seriously. And if it ever comes up again, just tell me then and there, and I'll be like, and then I'll make a note as well, like check again in 1 month. I'll put it on my calendar. I'll have a remind me. And she's like, beep beep. Check in on Leo. Does he still like the terminology big dong?
Yes.
Never changes.
This one's a bit of a like turn, but
I love it. Let it happen. This is real.
okay. So you've recently lost relationships with some people because of my being trans. Has that ever made you resent me in any way?
Ooh.
Deep, right?
Oh yeah.
We getting deep, baby.
It's
okay.
Have I ever resented you? No, I've resented them. I have, because you've done nothing wrong. You know what I mean? You haven't done anything but exist.
Yeah.
I can't resent you for that. It makes me emotional. That question makes me emotional, because that shouldn't be the case to anyone.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be the case to anyone ever. But yeah, that's too big a weight for you to ever carry. You being trans is just a part of who you are. And we use this platform to help other trans people, but it's just one part of who you are. There's just so much things. And if someone is willing to allow that one thing to determine how they feel about all the other things, they're worth resenting. I don't see why I would resent you. I've been sad. I've gone through depression. I've gone through grief. I've gone through loss. But resentment towards you, never. I can't resent you. I've been jealous of you. Because there were times when you and your own connections were doing super well, and I was like, fuck, I'm losing all my connections. And that's just me being honest. I was jealous and I was envious. And then I realised that at least one of us deserves it. So that ran out, you know what I mean? And then I was like, yeah, at least you have it. And then in our situation now, my people are more sorry, my people are more affirming for us now. So life is like this, and I don't have the time to resent you here.
Yeah.
Life it's too short. It's not promised. I just want to enjoy what we have.
Yeah.
I'm not letting them dickheads win.
Be gone with you.
Bye-bye.
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 When you envisioned yourself before you took tea, did you see this person now?
Ooh. This one. Right
This
now.
one. Or do you feel like you still see someone else? Or like, or have you ever envisioned this person before you took tea?
It's interesting because I think the version of me that I envisioned and still do is like further down the line. Sometimes it's like that's me, and then other times I'm like, that's my old face. It's really weird. It's really weird. It's very rare, but it's like sometimes I'll just be like, oh, I'll see my like self pre-tea just in my face, and I'll be like, whoa.
Does that make you?
It's
or
like
does it feel comforting?
sort of both. It's very bizarre because it's like that sort of like, oh, weird, because it's like weird that that's me, but it's also foreign to me. It's like seeing like a doppelganger of yourself. It's really weird.
Did you feel like you had to grieve yourself? I'm sorry, I know this is good questions, but
that's a good question though. Yeah, I think I had to process a lot about who I was, who I am, and who I never got to be. So all three of those things kind of melded into their own like sort of like rivers of like emotions and grief and all that kind of stuff in their own ways. But yeah, it's interesting because I think I have a lot of love for the girl that I was, like that little girl. I love her, and I don't see that as myself sometimes, which I know can be like a common thing with like trans people, that we kind of disconnect in some way to ourselves in our like early developmental years, or it, you know, before we transition, all that kind of stuff. Question number 4. Oh. As our channel grows, do you ever worry about the increase of trans and queer phobia?
Yeah, definitely, I do. I think for me, it's not like, well, first, we both suffer with anxiety and all these other things, and so it would be irresponsible for me to say that we're definitely strong enough to deal with hate, because are we? I don't know. Is any human designed to really deal with hate? Not really. But I will say that I feel stronger about it with you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're like facing it together.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like we're both also very creative people. Like, I'm gonna start a whole series of like monologues. I'm turning all these hate comments into monologues, which are gonna be brilliant.
They're gonna be so good. I'm so excited, you guys. You don't even know.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do a little monologue series, and I feel like that's a nice way of ranking our hate comments. It's a nice way to reclaim.
Yeah.
And say, we see you. We will literally like platform it. We don't give an F. It's there. Enjoy it. And now we'll make content out of it. Thank you. And so, you know, technically we're co-workers.
Aww.
Babes.
Thank you.
Like, it's, yeah, I just feel like being able to dismiss that or turn that into something positive, there's power in that.
Yeah.
And I think we are growing powerful together. I think we're both growing so resistant in a way that I don't think either of us knew we were really before.
Yeah.
So I'm almost like, you know, I've never also faced this fire. I've never also faced it this high. So to have it be exposed to us, I'm kind of like, oh, I can survive this. You know, obviously we grow bigger, it could be different. But as of now, I'm learning how flipping strong I am.
You are.
It's just like over the head. No, yeah, proud of you, babe.
Proud of you, babe.
Because you're good as well.
Thank
You can do these things, but you just can't, Nemo. Question number 4 on my end. When we have children one day, are you going to want to be stealth? Like, are we taking these videos down, or I don't know.
Nah. I don't think I'll ever really be stealth just for myself. Because right, like all this work for nothing.
I'm like, the hell?
What was all this for? No,
all this work, and where did it get me?
I don't think I'll ever really want to be self, because honestly, I'm very proud of being trans. I think it's a really special part of who I am, and a very integral part of who I am that weaves into everything else about me. Not everything about me is about being trans, but being trans intrinsically like influences a lot of things that make up who I am. You know, like the type of art that I create and consume, the type of activism that I feel most drawn to, the, you know, the communities that I'm in, everything that like I feel and the way that I interact with the world is ultimately influenced by my identity and my experience of the world, right? So for me, it's just like such a like root part of who I am that like there's no point in like burying it, you know. So,
I know I don't have a say in that. I just want to say I am very happy about that one.
Yeah,
I really am. And it's not about this work. This is this. You know what I mean? It is what it is. We still have the memories, but for me, it's really about you maintaining that pride because you are who you are, and what do we have to hide about it? You know what I mean? Like, it's cool. Like, I want our children to know everything about that. Not everything about us, because boy. But, child. Literally, I can hear them calling social services right now.
question is, do you have a preference between us being seen as a queer, trans, and cis couple, or us being seen as a cis, heterosexual couple?
No.
No.
I have a non-preference. We're not heterosexual. In terms of like trans and cis, I feel like if anything, those are titles of our videos because those are the identifiers that can make the community find us. But who gives an ish? I don't have a preference. I am queer. I am cis. You are queer. You are trans. They are just things that we are. I cannot care less, basically, is what I'm saying. Bless you, baby!
Bless you. Good morning.
Good morning, Peppers. Do you feel that I treat you differently now that you are on testosterone? And what I mean by that is, like, have I started changing towards you in any way because you appear more masked? Like, sometimes, like the world would. You're a white passing. You know, lots of people on this channel don't know that you're black. And well, he's not black, but your mum's mixed race.
Yeah.
So that not all people that know that you're white passing.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Like, have I changed towards you?
You don't treat me like a white guy.
Yeah.
I've never thought like you see me that way or anything. So
Yeah.
like, that's not it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Like maybe a little bit with like this when again like early stages of like figuring out who I am and how differences and like how people read us affects us as a couple and all this kind of stuff. When we were on the heightened part of that, girl. When we were in the like heightened part of that, it was more like we were kind of like struggling with like, okay, how does this look for us, and then how do we combat that? And it kind of like we were trying to combat that even in our private spaces. So that was a little bit like of a difficult period, but we've kind of gotten through that anyways. So we're kind of good now. Like I don't really think of anything that's like really like
It's crazy to think of the growth because you don't think of it until we do videos like this and we have the time. It's like such a hindsight moment. If you take the time to go back, if you're just meeting us now and you go back to our old video, we're such different people.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Those people back then, we're not those people anymore. Like I'm not saying like because I know it sounds counterintuitive and counteractive to what I said earlier. He's the same guy, but I mean like we've grown so much. Like it's ridiculous how much we've grown. We do have a question from someone who commented in the community, took one question. So, what advice would the both of you give to other trans guys trying to find love? I want what you two have.
Oh, that's really sweet.
It is really cute.
Oh, well, first of all, everyone who's out there looking for love, I promise you, you're gonna find it. You'll find your person, okay?
Or your people.
Or
Let's go, polygamy.
Let's go. even like not even just romantic love. Literally, like love is out there in all kinds of forms, and it is out there for you. And I hope that you find your people.
Just be yourself.
Yeah.
And the right person will come along.
Yeah.
I know that sounds really vague and it sounds incredibly obvious and it's overused, but it really is the truth. You have to fully love yourself as well. Not fully, but you have to fully accept yourself, I would say, and go through that process of being strong enough to know that another person doesn't create you or replace a sadness in yourself. They're there to add. And so if there's anything there that you know isn't quite right, go work on that. And that's just like your own happiness, your own self-joy. Give love to yourself first so that everything else feels like a bonus and not like a replacement for your own lack of self-love. That's the advice I would give. And you know, I've seen it a lot in sort of like Reddit and FTMs we've both actually seen like a lot of guys say like, oh, I don't feel like a cis girl would want me, which is crazy. Like I mean I don't know, I can only speak for myself, but I just think that's nuts. Love is there and it's there when it's supposed to happen. Don't rush the process. Have fun in the meantime. You know, you can fall in date. You can fall in lust before you fall in love. So don't forget to have fun along the way.
You know, when I think back to us, you know, we've been together for years now, and that first little bit of getting to know each other, we didn't know that this was going to be where we would be. You know, we had no idea what roller coaster we were going to be going on together.
Exactly.
But I'm so glad I got a ticket. You know, ended up being the
refund.
No, it's been like the best ride of my life, and I'm so happy that I jumped on that ride. You know,
I'm sorry. No. All right. Drink water. Eat carrots. Say bye. Say bye. Subscribe if you're nasty.
Subscribe and become a member.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.